But if we ignore it and we continue down this path of rejecting truth, we're going to continually have to create more and more elaborate explanations for the holes and gaps and contradictions within our belief system. Hi, welcome to Lycean Ends. Your worldview is how you view reality. It is how you understand and answer the deepest questions about reality. But how do you know that your worldview is true? How do you know that the worldview that you hold is a valid worldview and something that you should continue to hold on to? Simply put, a worldview is valid if it accurately represents what is true about the world. Now, this may seem really basic, and it may seem kind of like, duh. But the problem is that we live in a culture where many believe that truth can't actually be known. And this is a question of epistemology of, can we know something, and how do we know it? And so, while we live in a culture where many believe that truth can't be known, and that reality is viewed through the lenses of personal perspectives, preferences, and interpretations, truth itself is a matter of perception. Now, I'm not denying that we see reality through perspectives and preferences. Certainly, we have our interpretations. But truth itself is not a matter of perception. Truth is something that transcends us. It is something outside of us. Truth is something that is discoverable. But we currently live in what is called a post-truth world. It stems out of postmodernism. And that is something that in our culture we come across almost on a daily basis. We hear sayings that expose this worldview. Things like, that may be true for you, but it's not true for me. Or, hey, this is just my truth. Or you go find your truth. Those are all sayings that expose that postmodern or that post-truth worldview. Now, fortunately for those of us who consider ourselves truth seekers, truth is knowable and discoverable, and there's a critical test that we can use to understand what is true. For any claim of truth, this is a claim, this would be a proposition. So, in other words, if I claim that the sky is blue, that's testable. You can go out and see, you can look up at the sky and see, is the sky actually blue? Is it something that corresponds to reality? And so that is called the correspondence theory of truth. If the statement that I say, the sky is blue, if that corresponds to truth, if that corresponds to what is actually there, the sky is blue, then we have correspondence between the claim and between the way things actually are. Now, within a worldview, we're making claims about ultimate reality. In a Christian worldview, we claim that ultimate reality is God. And so there will be other claims that are brought up along with that, such as, if God exists, then there is a spiritual world. If there is a spiritual world, then the physical world isn't all there is. There are two things. There's a physical realm and a spiritual realm. Now, with these multiple claims, there's another test. And because within a worldview, there are numerous claims about reality, there must be a unity between these claims. So in other words, I can't claim that God as a spiritual being exists, but then also claim in my worldview that the physical world is all there is. I would have a contradiction there. I would lose this unity between my claims. So for a worldview to be true, not only must all of the claims correspond to reality. They must represent what really is. But all of the claims inside of that set, they must have what's called coherence. There must be this unity of truth between all of them. Let's use an example. Let's take a common claim as it relates to religion. And I hear this quite frequently. This is a very popular claim that all religions at their core teach the same things, and thus they are simply different paths to the same destination. Now, what is being made in this claim, what this claim is actually saying is that it is possible that all religions teach the same thing, and thus all of them lead to God. Well, is that true? Is that really how things are? Well, we would need to take a look at each of the different religions and see what they believe at their core. And we could do this very quickly by just asking a simple test of what do the different religions say about Jesus. If we look at Islam, Muhammad said that Jesus was a prophet, but he's not the Son of God, and he's not God. First century Jews said that Jesus was a false prophet, said that he was not God. They put him on a cross and crucified him for blaspheming and based on his claims and teachings. Followers of Buddhism, which is actually not a religion, they say that Jesus was someone that was on the enlightened path to nirvana, which ultimately breaks the illusion of reality in which we live and resulting in the losing of self. Now, followers of Hinduism, which is actually not a single religion. It's a religion that consists of about 330 million different gods. And Hinduism was a term used by the British whenever they came upon India and they saw all of these different, just this mash of religions and different pluralistic worldviews. They put it under this umbrella of Hinduism. But Hinduism, as it's commonly known today, simply says that we have over 330 million gods. Sure, we'll add another one if you like. So they're willing to accept Jesus into their pantheon of gods. Yet, Jesus, in the Bible, in Christianity, Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Now, see, that is a very particular claim. It's very particular in that it is very specific, and that Jesus is saying that he is the only way, he is the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And so Jesus is not only claiming that there is no other path, there is no other path except for through him. But he goes on in some of his other teachings to clearly teach that he is God. So therefore, the statement, this claim that it is possible that all religions lead to God is an incoherent statement. Furthermore, the claim that all religions teach the same things at their core is a false statement because it doesn't correspond to the way things really are. Each of these worldviews teaches drastically different things. Christianity teaches that Jesus is God and he's the only way to heaven. Followers of Hinduism say that he is one of many gods. Buddhism, he is someone who's on the path to enlightenment. And the Jews and the Muslims reject Jesus' claims to deity. So it is false that they all teach the same thing, and it is also impossible that they can all be true because it's incoherent. So for a worldview or a philosophy of reality to be true, the answers it has about reality must correspond to the way things really are. We have to be able to test and say that what it claims is true of the world. Furthermore, when we look at all of the answers inside of that philosophy, all of the answers inside of the worldview, it must have unity with each other. I can't have different claims about reality that don't cohere with each other. If they contradict or cause a contradiction with one another, then there's something wrong there. It's false. There's a problem with the worldview. And this leads into, as sense-making creatures, as human beings, who we are and what we are, we have this internal longing, this deep longing to make sense with and sense of the world that we find ourselves in. And we're going to wrestle with ideas that clash with each other. When we hold competing ideas inside of our worldview that contradict with one another, it creates this angst inside of us. And it gets worse if when we recognize there's a problem with our beliefs and we knowingly ignore it or we reject that truth. It's, as I heard J.P. Moreland call it one time, it's this recalcitrant fact. And a recalcitrant fact is a fact that continuously just comes to the front and bothers you and bugs you until it has a satisfactory answer. Greg Koukl refers to this as a problem with a beach ball. When you take a beach ball and you try and push it underwater, truth is kind of like that beach ball in that it continues to pop up and pop back up out of water. And sometimes it hits you right in the face. But ultimately, when we reject this truth, it creates this angst, and that angst turns into this bondage that enslaves us. And it enslaves us to provide a coherent and consistent answer that corresponds with reality. But if we ignore it and we continue down this path of rejecting truth, we're going to continually have to create more and more elaborate explanations for the holes and gaps and contradictions within our belief system. With this in mind, it's interesting that Jesus said that he was the way, the truth, and the life. The way, the truth, and the life. And in a Christian worldview, Jesus is God. He is the creator of all things and the only necessary being. So, where the Christian worldview starts by answering its deepest questions and concerns is with God, as it is He that is ultimate reality. Ultimate reality is God. He's the only necessary being. Everything else was created by Him. And so we are completely contingent and we depend solely upon Him. Jesus said that He was the truth. And He also said to His followers, those that held to His teachings, get this, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free.